How Little Wolf Got His Howl by Holly. Many moons ago, where the stars shone bright, there lived a small wolf. He lived in the deep dark woods. It was all quiet, except for the loud sound of howling wolves. That little wolf did not howl. He tried and tried, but he didn't have a howl. He went to other wolves and asked them how they got their howl. All they said was that he must go to the Great Spirit on top of the hill. Little Wolf set out that night and trudged quietly. There was a river, and Little Wolf could not swim. He jumped into the river and he paddled and paddled and paddled until finally he got out. He was so happy, but he still had to go on. Suddenly, Little Wolf could not go anymore, so Little Wolf crawled towards a tree and lay down. He was so tired, he fell asleep. He woke up later and carried on. Suddenly, the wind blew strongly, and the Great Spirit appeared. Little Wolf was shy. The Great Spirit boomed, "What do you need?" "I need a howl," Little Wolf said shyly. Then the Great Spirit boomed, "All you have to do is find 3 things: a moose's fur, a beaver's tooth, and a cougar's claw. Once you have found these 3 things, come to me at the top of the hill." At this time, the Great Spirit placed a tiny little pouch around Little Wolf's neck and then disappeared. Little Wolf was scared. He crept towards a tree and then he trudged on. Suddenly, Little Wolf saw other wolves from a different pack. They were eating a moose. "I need moose's fur," whispered Little Wolf. He waited for a long time. The other wolves left. Little Wolf crept cautiously to the dead moose and took some of its hair. Carefully, Little Wolf put the moose's fur in his pouch and continued on his journey. Soon he came to a lake with beavers in it. As he slowly crept towards the shallow waters, he noticed one of the beavers was chasing him. Little Wolf ran for his life but couldn't avoid a fight. Little Wolf turned out to be the stronger one, and the beaver turned and left. Little Wolf sat down to catch his breath. When he looked on the ground, he saw a beaver's tooth. He must have lost it during the fight. Little Wolf carefully picked it up and placed it in his pouch. Now he only had to find the cougar's claw. He was so excited. Soon he saw a cougar eating a deer. When the cougar walked away after eating all of the deer meat, Little Wolf dashed towards the dead deer. Sticking out of the deer's stomach was a cougar's claw. Now all he had to do was return to the top of the hill to meet the Great Spirit. Little Wolf stormed back home, but soon it started to thunder and rain. He started to shiver but pushed against the pelting rain. Little Wolf was pushing and pushing until he finally got home to his den. Finding a comfortable spot, he curled up and went to sleep. When the lightness shone into the den, Little Wolf went outside and started climbing up the big hill. When he was at the top of the hill, the Great Spirit came. Little Wolf nervously gave the 3 things to the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit nodded and suddenly disappeared into the sky. Little Wolf was sad and confused because he thought he wouldn't get the howl that he asked for. He started to cry. and a strange sound came out of his mouth. The Great Spirit had given him his howl. From that day forward, Little Wolf could howl like the others.